Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back to MTN Outdoors. I'm Tom Buchanan and I'll be your guide on this week's episode. As temperatures warm up and we step into spring, more and more Montanans are going to be recreating at bodies of water like lakes, rivers, and streams. But safety should always come as a top priority. As MTN's Chet Lehman reports, learning how to swim is necessary before going anywhere near a body of water.
This is the time of year many families are looking to get their children into swimming lessons, and that's great in Montana. The reality is, though, before you learn to swim across a pool, you should probably learn how to get to the surface should you fall into water like this.
Two-prong approach. The first is water survival skills. Then we move into stroke development. So the first 3 levels, we're learning how to, if they fall into a body of water, they know how to roll over and float, because then they can call for help and they can breathe.
Michael grew up around water, played water sports, and taught swimming lessons. However, he says too often he saw little kids trying to swim a stroke without actually being able to float. That's why he started the Montana Swim Academy. For the instructors, this approach is much more fun and functional at the same time.
We want it to not only be swim lessons, but we want it to be an experience. We have graduation ceremonies, they get a certificate. These are milestones, and we want to celebrate those milestones. We want the parents to celebrate them. These kids deserve to have that big confidence booster, and we want to help them exceed that.
Let's face it, confidence is everything in an emergency situation, especially around this kind of water.
And we want them to feel their very best, confident in who they are as kids and all of that stuff. And when they're next to a body of water, we want to change those statistics, and we believe that we can.
Students must complete 3 skills in each level to advance. Once completed, graduation happens and you move on. Success comes at the kids' speed, not at a swim lesson session pace.
Not only do we have the kids be the driver of their progress, where they can move to the next level, you're right about the parents' cost savings. They don't have to wait, for a session to be over for the kid to move up. They move up the very next week. So it really benefits the kids, really benefits the families.
Montana Swim Academy currently operating in Bozeman, with Butte lessons beginning in June and Billings and Helena on pace to begin in the fall. In Bozeman, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Now, was Ross going to be here, do you remember?
He said he was.
Secured a spot at the new Lions Park facility.
Okay.
So what we're going to do...
Veteran mental health is a top priority in our country. Montana has one of the highest amounts of veterans per capita, and one group is trying to solve some of the issues that we might have in a very unique way. Scuba.
I am a veteran. I was in the Army for about 5 years, did 2 tours to Iraq, and I was introduced to this by my wife, who wanted to help find something for me to do to help with my PTSD.
While the organization started in Kalispell, a new chapter of the Underwater Soldiers nonprofit has recently begun operations in Great Falls and aims to curb veteran mental health issues.
It's basically water therapy through camaraderie. I grew up in a household with a father that had PTSD. So I wanted to find something especially for PTSD veterans where I could give back.
While traditional therapy methods can certainly be effective, alternative resources such as therapy diving have shown to be a viable option.
It's peaceful, and that's just something not a lot of veterans get. If it's not like the outside world messing with us, it's our heads. So down there, the only thing you think about is the water and breathing. That's about it.
According to the Department of Veteran Affairs, the Montana veteran suicide rate of 37.4 per 100,000 deaths is more than double the national average of just 18. For emergency concerns over suicide, you should dial 988. But if you feel that water therapy may be a good option for you, then veterans can search for Underwater Soldiers on Facebook.
We have a lot of programs in place to take care of us, but we don't take advantage of a lot of those programs. So, and I think for the most part because they're government run. Something like this, where you just get like another veteran coming in and doing this strictly to help us out. He doesn't get paid for this. So I mean, strictly just to help us out. I feel like that's the kind of community we need to build in Montana.
People really are interested in this program, and I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Great Falls, I'm James Rowland, MTN News.
Despite the wintry conditions and snowfall we've had the last few days, temperatures have been warming up and creating unsafe ice conditions across the Flathead.
I can't speak to each body of water, but what I do know is the temperature's been super variable. It's just not consistent enough to, in my opinion, be safe.
On Monday, a man fell through the ice while trying to rescue a calf that had fallen through. The man then had to be rescued. Incidents like these can quickly become deadly and put rescue crews at risk as well.
And so time is, of essence. How long they've been in the water plays a factor. Hypothermia can set in, and whether or not they can stay afloat. Those are all key factors. And then obviously we have to take into account, the safety of the responders and how we can safely get to them before we, we're not putting ourselves at risk. It is a risky situation, but we're going to do everything we can to mitigate it and try and rescue that person.
The rescue on Monday was the first ice rescue in Flathead County since September of 2023, before the lakes froze. Officials across Flathead County are urging people to stay off the ice as conditions are extremely variable and a lot of the lakes in the area are not safe.
1, don't go on the ice. And 2, if you do, just be prepared to break through, if that's the case. And there's things that people can do. They can check the thickness of the ice, whether it's using an ice auger or a chisel. Or an axe, and the rule of thumb for ice, as far as people go, it's got to be at least 4 inches thick.
Please remember, as spring has arrived, winter recreation activities are ending and conditions are becoming dangerous. Be sure to check conditions before you go out. In Kalispell, Kiana Wilson, MTN News.
Water recreation isn't the only thing happening this spring. If you've been outside any time in the past few weeks, you'll have noticed that the familiar sound of whooping, cawing, and screeching are back in our skies. That and more coming up. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm just out here at Spring Meadow scouting for birds. I just spoke to Montana Wild about how the Helena area is a great place for birders and how we have tons of great events coming up in the Helena area.
So in Montana, we're lucky there's great birding all year round, but spring, of course, is a really exciting time to be birding because migrants from, as far away as Mexico or as close as Colorado are coming back to Montana either to breed here or passing through on their way, maybe even as far as the Arctic Circle to breed.
Birding is a great hobby to get into, especially in the spring, as plenty of birds are migrating through Montana.
Right now, we're seeing a lot of waterfowl migrating through Helena. So even right here at Spring Meadow Lake, we're seeing things like wood ducks and ruddy ducks. Out at Lake Helena, folks have been seeing tundra and trumpeter swans, sandhill cranes. So some really amazing, iconic species passing through.
Right now is a great time to go check out the snow geese migration. Corey Bowditch, Montana Wild Program Manager, says that if you cannot make it up to Freeze-Out Lake, Lake Helena, or the Regulating Reservoir are other good places to check out the geese. With over 100 species documented at Spring Meadow throughout the years, birding can be done right in your backyard. And in the coming months, plenty of events are taking place to encourage the seasoned or brand new birder. For example, on Tuesday, April 2nd, Montana Audubon will host a Western Screech Owl monitoring seminar to teach folks how to be citizen scientists. Migratory Bird Day will take place on Saturday, May 4th. Wings Across the Big Sky Festival will also take place the weekend of May 31st.
Helena is the place to be to look for birds or learn about birds or interact with birders for sure.
If you're looking to start your journey as a birder, Montana Wild has got you covered.
We have some really great resources here at Montana Wild, a great birding display. We've got binoculars you can borrow, field guides, and some really enthusiastic birders here as well who are happy to get you started. We're right next to Spring Meadow Lake, so we can get you some binoculars and send you off down the lake to see what you can find.
Reporting in Helena, Tom Buchanan, MTN News.
The 3 horses were transported to Montana Equine here in Billings following the crash. They all survived but suffered differing injuries that will require much time and money to recover from.
I grew up with horses my whole life.
Megan Holt has always had a heart for horses.
I take very good care of them, and they're part of me.
She grew up on a small ranch in Chinook, 20 miles east of Havre. Her now husband, Kenny, also grew up with horses, but went all in when marrying Megan.
One Christmas, Megan and I actually met, and we started dating and
went from there.
yeah, and now I'm a horse guy.
The two are now expecting their first child together.
We're just over 6 months. So yeah, we're over halfway.
But with 4 horses to care for, the Holtz were offered some help from some out-of-state friends.
They were like, yeah, just send them down here and we'll take care of them and you guys worry about your pregnancy. So that was the plan. We were super excited about it.
3 of their horses were headed to Nebraska on Sunday when disaster struck.
And they were like, we got in a wreck. Everybody's okay, but you need to come back. It's a phone call you never want to have.
I-90 was covered with ice. The horse trailer jackknifed and ended up on its side in the median along with the pickup truck that it was being pulled by. Once the Holtz found out, they headed to the scene.
We turned right around. We're actually the ones that picked up the horses.
Luckily, the driver, passenger, and their 6-year-old son were okay, and all 3 horses survived, but not without injury.
They knew, they're like, we need help. Hopefully we'll all make a full recovery.
Doolittle, Yellow, and Koa were transported to Montana Equine and Billings, where Dr. Green jumped into action.
We had gotten a photo before they arrived, of the trailer and the wreck itself, so I was pretty concerned. But, when they showed up, all 3 horses, walked right off the trailer. I thought they actually were doing pretty well, all things considered.
She said things like this don't happen often, but luckily the team at Montana Equine knew just what to do.
It's our priority to make sure that the patients are, cared for first and foremost, but also, a big part of vet medicine is also taking care of the clients as well.
The Holtz are just grateful their horses are okay, and for the outpouring of support from the community.
Words can't express it at all. We're beyond grateful.
I just hope that we can pay it forward down the line.
In Billings, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
Zoo Montana is home to 2 adorable red pandas, Dooley and Pabu. The 2 combined can eat up to 50,000 bamboo leaves per day, which means the zoo has to work extra hard to make sure they have enough of the leafy greens on hand.
In a state known for its wheat, alfalfa, and barley,
you can see the stems.
This is a sight that certainly makes you do a double take.
They really enjoy it because it's so fresh.
Beautiful bamboo, grown right here at Zoo Montana.
The gal that was in charge of the volunteer activities came to me one day and said, how would you like to work with the bamboo garden? And I said, the what?
Mary Alice Spencer has spent more than a decade volunteering here, taking on an interesting grass garden that's typically grown in Asia.
Nobody had been taking care of it for a while, so it required a bunch of weeding and stuff like that. And so that's how I got to the point where we've got this nice big facility up here.
Mary Alice is a retired geologist.
The zoo was in terrible shape before they hired Jeff. And so I decided I'd volunteer. So I've been here since probably just before he came.
Her hard work has helped the zoo cut down immensely on costs, while feeding some of its more colorful residents.
This bamboo garden in the summertime cuts our bamboo bill in half, which is huge, and that really translates obviously to real dollars.
Mary Alice says bamboo actually isn't that difficult to grow.
Actually, no, because the stuff that we grow is cold climate bamboo.
Last summer, the bamboo garden ended up saving the day.
We had one emergency that the shipment we get on a weekly basis didn't come, and she was able to go and cut the new stuff because it had grown so well to feed them.
You may not know this, but red pandas eat a lot of bamboo.
The red pandas eat upwards of 25,000 bamboo leaves a day, which is insane for such a small, cute little animal. Our takin are also an animal that you may occasionally watch them eating the bamboo.
It's a food source the animals may take for granted, but Ewalt certainly doesn't.
Mary Alice is she embodies everything that is a volunteer, right? I mean, she cares about the organization. She works really hard at helping us here and makes a true impact, as all volunteers do.
But Mary Alice says it's a labor of love she's happy to provide.
You go to the grocery store in the winter and you buy those hard little red things, and then you go to the farmer's market and you get those beautiful, freshly picked tomatoes. That's sort of the difference between what we have to buy commercially and the stuff we grow.
In Billings, Kelsey Boggs, MTN News.
Coming up after the break, we've got some helpful reminders for when hunting applications should be submitted by.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
To hunt and fish in Montana requires licensure. Every year, thousands apply for the opportunity to hunt antelope, moose, elk, and more. MTN's Chet Lehman spoke with Montana FWP about when folks need to have their applications submitted by.
For those wanting to hunt this year, the deadline for applications is here. For those wanting to hunt deer and elk, needed to have it in by Monday, April 1st at close of business. FWP reminds folks that those closing deadlines are just that, they're deadlines. They're not a filing date.
Don't wait until the last minute to submit your applications. Again, the deadline for moose, sheep, and goat applications is May 1st. The deadline for bee licenses and antelope are due June 1st, so there's even more time for those as well. So get your applications in. Hunters can expect to see results from those drawings about 2 weeks after the deadline for those applications. So deer and elk applications, those results should be available here in the coming weeks.
Jacobson says think of applying just like you would to planning a hunting trip. You wouldn't wait until the day before opening day to start planning that trip. Do the same with applying for your chance at that trip.
We have a lot of traffic that comes into our office leading up to that deadline, as well as our website. A lot of people will wait until the last minute. So if you want a quick experience, an easy experience, the trick to that is to apply early.
As always, for more information, head on into a Fish, Wildlife and Parks office or head over to the Fish, Wildlife and Parks website. Near Belgrade, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
For the second time, the Great Falls Public School archery program has hit the bullseye, gaining another spot in the national championships in Salt Lake City.
This is our second year of actually competing as a team. We started off getting some bows and starting in a summer school program actually, and then carried it on through the school year last year where we ended up winning regionals, and then we ended up winning state and then going to nationals. Okay, I want to see you guys pick your bow up and then draw back to your anchor point.
Nationals was definitely pretty fun. I mean, shooting with a lot of people there. I mean, rows of people. It was pretty, the adrenaline was there.
Led by Coach Dugan Coburn, the team demonstrated their prowess on the archery range, earning another coveted spot in the Western Nationals once again.
For you to shoot good, you have to, your technique's got to be correct all times, and consistency.
As they prepare to compete against the best archery teams in the Western United States, the Great Falls Public Schools archery team remains focused and determined to make their mark.
I'm so proud of my students because they different backgrounds, different people coming into it, and then it just takes practice. If you want to be good, you need to practice.
And Dugan's a really good teacher because he sees potential in me, even if I don't see it in myself. And I strive to be better just because he's my teacher.
For a sport aimed towards everyone, the hope is to eventually gain more members.
I would like to see kids like freshmen and other sophomores coming into archery like next year or even this year.
In Great Falls, Brianna Juneau, MTN News.
You can't hunt on the Yellowstone River for geese, but the geese come up here during hunting season on people's land. Fish, Wildlife and Parks may want to change that and open up the river to hunting, and that could change things for hunters and landowners in this area.
This is world renowned for the goose hunting on this section. It's just beautiful. It's nature at its best. Their natural habitat coming up out of the river, landing in those fields to feed.
Troy Sams is an outfitter and hunts for geese in the Forsyth area.
Knock on doors, visit this public ground, get signed up for block management. There's tons of opportunity over here.
He's worried that the hunting opportunities could disappear if Fish, Wildlife and Parks opens up an 87-mile stretch of the Yellowstone River between the Bighorn River and the Rosebud-Custer County line. That section of river was first closed to waterfowl hunting in 1958.
A lot of them migrate from Canada, and this highline portion of the population comes through kind of the central portion of the flyway of Montana down into Wyoming, Colorado, and Nebraska.
Brett Dorak, FWP wildlife manager, says the ideal geese population coming through Montana is around 300,000, but now those numbers range from 400,000 to 500,000.
The department has proposed to lift that restriction based on the biological finding in the goose numbers.
Ranchers and farmers can see that increase and like having the geese on their land.
The feed base is enormous. That's what attracts them, but the river is what keeps them here.
They say if the river is open to hunting and a goose is shot, it could end up on their property.
And there's a host of problems with trespassing. People's livestock going through their crops.
An FWP survey shows 31% support keeping the river closed and 26% oppose the current closure.
I think the landowners are afraid that they're really going to, one, lose the birds because they like the birds, and two, lose control of their property.
It's been good. It's been in place for 66 years. Why change it?
While some worry that the geese will go somewhere else, FWP expects the numbers of birds harvested to remain close to the same.
Biologically, we don't anticipate a negative impact on the goose population as a whole.
In Forsyth, David J., MTN News.
Fishing season is well underway, especially on the 3 branches of the Jefferson River and here on the Madison. In fact, FWP has been out catching fish for weeks. They've tagged them and recorded them. Now they're hoping somebody else will catch them and report it back in.
What that helps us do is keep track of fish as they move through these systems. It helps us keep track of their observed health and other factors that help us gather information on how these fish are doing, how their populations are doing, how they're moving and using these systems, and how we can help.
Anglers who catch a tagged fish are asked to carefully remove it and then contact FWP to report it. If you release the fish, keep the tag and contact FWP.
The other part of this reporting process is when anglers submit reports, they're also asked, what was the condition of the fish when you caught it? Did it have any apparent lesions or other pathologies that anglers can see? And so that helps us keep track of fish health issues that we've also seen in this part of the state, where we've asked people to report those as well.
Tags are blue or yellow and are on fish in the Ruby, Beaverhead, Big Hole, and Madison rivers. This is year 1 of 3 of an effort to ultimately try to solve fish issues in these waters. Those who participate are also eligible for potential prizes.
Each blue tag that gets reported gets submitted into a drawing for things like fishing gear or fishing trips with an outfitter. And then the yellow tags are also good for just cash prizes.
Information on how to report the tags is available at fishing access sites or through the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks office thanks to these cards, or by heading on over to the FWP website. On the Madison River, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
Well, thanks so much for joining me on this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Until next week, get out there, enjoy the fluctuating weather of the season, and stay safe. Bye for now.